You're listening to the Go Lightly Martial Hour on freedomtalkradio.net. The Go Lightly Martial Hour on freedomtalkradio.net. freedomtalkradio.net.
Hi guys, just thought you'd like a little surprise, rhymes with guys, and here ya singing about the Old Man River that I used to think was called Old Man Cotton. And hi Catherine. Catherine's over in the chat room. Now, it's what day is it? It's Monday. It feels like Tuesday to me, I don't know why, but it is Monday, and it is the 25th of May here in Australia. It's 12:05 p.m, and this is the home of the Christ Brian Leonard Go Lightly Marshall, BLGM, as he is known, and that is the new name of the Revelation 3:12, and the name written that only he would know of the Revelation 19:12, announced by Pope Benedict the 16th once he retired and began his historic communications with the Christ live through email conversation that lasted approximately 3 weeks. And Catherine, it's John. It's John under Catherine's name in the chat room. All right, John. Hey, we should call, just as people are beginning to call us Yash, as in Yar and Ash, we could call you guys Kedge. Or Joker. Anyway, forget it. It's alright, I just had a mocha before it came on. Yar's working on something really important over there. It's really amazing. And am I going to be reading it or you?
Well, I'll just tell a bit more and I'll give it to you on a stick and you can read it.
Okay, alright.
Sounds better when you do it.
Sounds like a plan. And, Kat's listening. All right. Hello, Ross. G'day. Rivers of Truth. What a hearty rendition. Yes, it was a... Now, there is out there...
That was a sneaker. 'Cause
I
was in the
didn't
shower.
tell him. Of course, I like to play around with the Spreaker deck. Yeah, our first show, I think I had some special effects coming in and going out. And yeah, I was just looking at... Anyway, what's going on? Well, first of all, Hirad said that he'll be on tomorrow's show in the chat room because it's his birthday on the 27th, but being Sunday night there in Canada, Toronto, where he is, he was going out to watch a movie with his cousins or something like that. Anyway, he said his apologies. And what is interesting, because Hirad, of course, has been taking the calcium hypochlorite, feeling really, really good and sleeping at night. Hirad is one that was unable to sleep at all during the night, hence he'd be awake all through the night. Well, Adam Yates, I sent him an email and he responded that he's taken 4 doses of the MMS1, which is the chlorine dioxide mixed up. It has the same effect, of course, as the MMS2, and that it made him 4 doses within a very short period of time. He was feeling really good, but it made him feel really weak, and he has been sleeping. Now, Adam's another one. He'd be on the chat room. What time is it in the United Kingdom? I don't know what. We're 9 hours, 1 in the morning, or 3 in the morning, I think it is, that this goes to air in the UK. And Adam was in there a lot until the last few days. That's the reason he's been sleeping when he should. Skating really well, skating a lot. He did say that he feels like somebody's messing with his internet. Well, I think a lot of people are experiencing that. Certainly in the chat room, John, yesterday, as soon as I uploaded about the face that appeared out of the so-called pit that the CERN opened up, and there it is, BLGM's face, the God particle that holds all things together that they've been looking for. Hi, Jonas. Good to have you in the chat room too. As soon as I made first mention of it to John and then Catherine through the Facebook message, all I did was upload the screen capture that I'd taken. I said, who does this look like? Who is this? Immediately, they went offline, I went offline, there was trouble all over the place. Here's the God particle looking at you. If it wasn't such a con, it would be a concern, but such is the idiocy, nightly, the stupidity of all of this construct that we live in this world of lies. And it's just like the holy angels to have these little surprises. I think about Benedict when he obviously got in touch with the sculptor, as he had commissioned the St. Michael statue that was unveiled in July 2013, and that was the first public appearance of Benedict. Francis had to invite him, and there's Francis up at the platform, Benedict sitting beside him, and Kim, our friend, just looked at the photographs, not knowing what was going on. So the one standing, first of all, who drinks too much sherry, and he's thinking to himself, what have I got myself into? As the one that was sitting, which was Benedict, is laughing inside himself. He's having a good old chuckle. The last laugh, you zero in on the face, and there it is, the face of BLGM. Why? Well, first of all, his unusual chromosomes, as confirmed by the Galvin Institute here in Australia. You have 3 unusual chromosomes. They were numbered 3, 4 and 13, or 3413 in the Greek side of the Strong's Concordance is Michael the Archangel. So the last laugh certainly was on Benedict. We had a good chuckle, even if nobody else knew what was going on. Those, concern laugh out loud. So Jonas has been having his own chuckles, working on his house. Ross, anything more on your deja vuing, or have you settled down? What's going on in your world of dreaming, things coming to pass, been there, done that, seen it all before? Actually, this is what Yar is writing about in this lengthy presentation that he's been working on now for days, and I'll start reading it. But it's like being given glimpses of the DVD from the heavenly realm, that realm of no time, where it is playing out. There's a very good book that I read many years ago. Oh, thanks, Jonas. This stuff never gets old. Good. I'm glad it doesn't. Today's one of those days we've had our obligatory games of pool, and as much as I said the other day I won 3 out of 4, I did come in with a disclaimer that I'm ready for the day of vengeance. Well, today's it, because Yah has thoroughly trounced me each match. No, except for the first one. Except for the first one, and then everyone after that's been a thorough trouncing. This is what I expect. What was I talking about? I completely forget. About what you were... Oh, the heavenly DVD, the deja vus, the video playing out. Our souls come to the earth, and we're programmed to find Yah. And I remember when Joel found us years ago now. I'm fairly sure it was 2010 when Joel found us first. And he had, of course, been down all the rabbit holes. That's what the rabbit holes are for. You scurry along, get down them, and have a good look around and go, aha! And then you back out again down to another one until you arrive at the ultimate truth. It is that journey, if you like. And the ultimate truth, of course, is find Yah, who's never been down any rabbit holes. He's just had to experience the dung heaps of moments in his life that he's had to live through to overcome them. And this is what he's putting together from a child, the glimpses of the DVD, and then the things that he would speak from within his soul that he would ponder about, and years later only as an adult be able to put together, whereas the small child has to grow into the wisdom, knowledge and stature of who he is. And then he, as the guiding light, if you like, by the time the internet has been developed and given not only him the tools, but all of us the tools of information, the knowledge that flashes like lightning through cyberspace, under clouds, that's the clouds of heaven, the clouds. And, look, what is the data storage above each city called but a cloud? So coming in the clouds, that's exactly how it does, because all the data, the images of cyberspace are stored in these clouds over each city, and when we click on things, that's where it's retrieved from. The moon, Earth time explanation blew my mind. Just got to hear yesterday's show this morning. Oh yes, Jonas is referring to... Are you referring to hear yesterday's show or the explanation that I put up on the Facebook? This event that occurred in Margate, first of all, Margate figures very predominantly in Yah's life, because that was where his second wife, Pauline, the one that his angel told him, angel from above said, marry that one. And he goes, oh no, tried to avoid it, as you know the story. And that was Pauline, the English woman from Margate. And of course we were at Margate when we travelled through the United Kingdom in 2013. We were in Rome for 5 months total, but for 2 weeks we left Rome, flew to Edinburgh, really cheap seats via Ryanair, good on Ryanair, an Irish company. We flew into Edinburgh because cars are difficult to come by in Rome, not so difficult in the United Kingdom. Edinburgh, looking on Gematria, and I found a couple of cars that of course were cut off. This is what happens, and why a lot of you are struggling with internet communications between us. We are so used to it now, it surprises us if we do get through. To give you an example, my emails each day are loaded with spam. There's nothing else. I counted today there was one communication that was important enough to keep and read. The rest was totally spam, and this is in the inbox, and then the spam folder I just delete altogether. And we, as you know, don't get important communications. Anybody who may be in a position of authority where they can wake up and do something about it, they're cut off right from the start. So, John says repetition is the mother of success. Good. But getting back to Margate, the importance of Margate. All right, so they ramp up soon, and suddenly, or not so suddenly, because this is what they've planned. They've directed the beam, whatever, but it manifests itself at Margate. And with shallow, of course, the rule is anything shallow, 10 kilometres and less than 10 kilometres is HARP, or them. The deeper earthquakes are the natural, if you want to call them that, earthquakes that happen. But anyway, Margate figures predominantly in Yar's life. So Yar measured from the position exactly, because the latitude and longitude is at the reporting sites. It's 51.327 degrees north. Latitude, longitude 1.376 degrees east, 6 kilometres south of Margate. And so Yar measures, he finds at that instant in time, because the time of it was 1:52 and 16 seconds UTC. Now, GMT, because there's a daylight saving hour out, it was an hour later on their record, local time, but UTC, it was 1:52 and 16 seconds. So at that instant in time, Yar located the position of the sun and the moon on the earth, and then, as you know, he measures to and from around all three sides, and then gets the area between the 3 points to describe what it's all about. Now, the moon to the sun distance was all about Joel, which is the day of the Lord. This is where it speaks of the day of the Lord coming as a thief. And then anguish to hew like an axe. So what is being hewn, or what is being cut down? Well, of course, it's the evil. Everything that is aimed at the mind of people on the earth through YouTube's and the channels like Fox and CNN, the ABC, the BBC, everything is directed to put the innocent, if you like, in fear and terror, when in fact it is they who are in fear and terror, because it's they who are being judged and hewn down with an axe, the tree cut down, if you like. So the sun and the moon, it's all about Joel, the day of the Lord, and anguish, to hew like an axe. More evil or aggravated, physically, mentally, morally, worse, wicked, injurious. Now, as it is happening, you can expect, and I explained this on a comment by Scylla. She talked about going out for a walk when she was witness to a father being really mean and nasty to a 4-year-old boy who was trying to learn to ride his bicycle. And she said she had a mind to go over and speak to this man and give him a piece of her mind, but she thought that she may end up injured. Well, this is what more evil and aggravated. So she was talking about the aggravation of this father, and physically, mentally, morally worse, wicked, injurious. So everybody be on guard, because the demonic realm will behave this way. This is literally the separating of the wicked, the tares, who are amongst us all everywhere, and the wheat, who will not respond in this way at all. As they get worse and aggravated, then those who are righteous will begin to shine forth, and their peace, P-E-A-C-E, will not be disturbed. And it continues that feared or religious, reverent piety. So again, we're talking about this gap widening between evil, wicked, the aggravated evil, which will become wicked and injurious even more. And those who have always feared God, if you like, their understanding of God, and again the separation between the wicked and the righteous. And it leads over to Revelation 21:24. And Yah will explain that this is part of his workings, because what was very interesting, that when he went into his Bible program, on his, now the Revelation 21:24 is, and the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honour to it. So we're talking about the city of God before it, that where the nations that on the earth that are saved will walk in the light of the city of God, which is Prime Minister Golightly Marshall. Now, when Yah went over to his program to open it up, what was very strange, and this happens before when the angels take over his computer, is that it had the first line to the... Thank you. And I'm just getting that. The first line of it. And then the rest of the screen was blank. It did not have the rest of the verse or the chapter and what was below. It was just black. Mm. So, why? He did the Gematria on it. But the area of the 3 points, the sun to Margate and the moon to Margate,
I'll tell you what the number was. What it says was, and the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And then the rest of the Bible was just blank. Right? And that has a English Gematria of 598, which is the area of the small piece of cloth that was stitched meticulously to the side of the Shroud of Turin, 171 inches long by 88.8 millimetres, or 3.5 inches, as an area of 598 square inches. Mm. And that's very significant, because it was my telling the world, all these scholars that have been working on the Shroud of Turin for years, for decades, ever since I was in Canada, when I was able to contact anybody on the internet, and that was only 1995, 6. That there's 2 pieces of cloth. They're stitched together so meticulously you can actually see it. And it was done after the resurrection, of course. Yes. So it's only the guy who was leading the team of Sturps that went to study the Shroud of Turin, ending on October the 8th, 1978. Another coincidence, of course. That's the date I arrived back in Australia in 1996. And he suddenly announced to the world that he had discovered that it is made of 2 pieces of cloth, not 1.
That's right.
Like morons. I've been telling you for 20 years, right? So that means nothing gets through to them. It's either they're blinded or the authorities, and more likely the authorities will stop all my communications going anywhere. There was only some very early stages where it was found that an email would be blocked and a chat room wouldn't happen. Above top secret is another one. I kept getting blocked from that. And occasionally you get a program where you actually are typing directly into a questionnaire box or a comment box in the various church or chat room or whatever. Primarily try to talk to, let's say, some of the people in the Shroud of Turin. They might have a box on their website which you can enter. So you actually are going straight into their computer. That doesn't mean it won't be stopped because they're watching what I'm doing and they'll go in and take it out anyhow.
Oh, completely.
So, but in the early days, I was probably a little bit more advanced in the sense of being able to do that, and they didn't have the nous to be able to stop it.
Yeah.
But, of course, over time, this all falls on deaf ears, so I can't get nothing done when I'm talking to anybody. Go on to YouTube, for example, perfect example. You're supposed to be talking to making a comment, and because it never gets through.
Right.
Open it up again, it's gone.
Now, look, just to clear, because it's on everybody's brain, the great the CERN, Jonas has come in. You missed yesterday's show. As some guys say, the antimatter from CERN, anti-God, will be used as a weapon. People will hate, I think you mean God's creation, God particle, the glue of life, antimatter, explosion, destruction of creation, unglue, rotten bastards. Well, first of all, Jonas, I think you missed it yesterday. If you look at what I've posted on my Facebook, the images that everybody's saying, they've opened up the demonic realm. If you look at whose face it is staring at you. Now, this is the great big, the last laugh is on us kind of thing, because, they're so stupid. They say they're looking for the God particle, the glue that holds it all together. Well, the glue is BLGM. He is the antimatter, if you like, that holds it all together, the dark matter. As a matter of fact, we called him the dark matter years ago. YHWH is the glue that holds everything together in the universe. And you can read about that in the scriptures. It talking about Jesus. Everything was made for him, through him, by him. He is the glue. This is what they have refused to acknowledge, as they, in their fuckwit mentality, go looking for the God particle. So now you get these idiots who are exposing in the beam that happened a few days ago. They're picking up these images that they're saying the demonic realm. Well, I looked at it, Jonas, and you can see on my Facebook, and I'm thinking, hello? That is not a demon, because the demons are already released. The demons are already in men on the earth who are in the scientists of CERN, in our leaders. They've been on the earth for a very long time, since the cross. And certainly... Still there. And since Yah has been on the earth, January 11th, 1944, he's been walking among them. He has come into hell, where all the demonic realm are, growing up amongst the wheat as the tares. Now, they know that they cannot be where God is, and their greatest fear has been that the child would be born. This is why they tried to prevent his mother, the most royal woman, from giving birth to who? The one who would be the Christ, the BLGM, Brian Let It Go Lightly Marshall, announced from left field by Pope Benedict. So these idiots, you listen to them and the stupidity of them. They've done a marvellous thing. They've built this huge machine. It's like the Tower of Babel all over again. Man in his knowledge what they're refusing to do is to acknowledge God and his creation. God where? On the earth. He is looking at you, kid. So they get their beam going. They have not opened the gates of hell. What they've done is they've revealed their stupidity. We're looking for the God particle, the glue. Well, here's his face, the first one that you see out of the beam. And I looked at every other face that people are saying, these are the demons. Well, they are the most unscary faces I have ever seen. I'm looking at it going, that's not a demon. That's the face of Yahweh. YHWH, BLGM, the glue that is holding everything together. He can destroy the creation. It's him. And when you look at it closely, you will even see on the main do it. I have uploaded it. It's there on my Facebook. This was the topic of yesterday's revelation, if you like. On the left-hand side of the face of Yah staring at you is this cross. A very large cross all over the left side of this face that people are saying it's demons. No, the demons are the ones that are in the rulers of the world. They're already out of the pit. They've been on the earth all this time.
This is what the Michael the Archangel prophecy was all about.
Yes.
That suddenly Lucifer wakes up wondering what the hell happened. He's been defeated in hell. Suddenly he's in the realm of hell. He's been defeated in heaven. Suddenly he's in the realm of hell. And now what is he going to do? To devour my mother.
Yes.
And this is why she was in hospital for such a long period of time. And this is why old Reggie, not allowed to have sex with her because, she might get pregnant and this will kill her. So that was in the Catholics organised all that, and of course they're all Freemasons anyhow. And that was the direct order that she was to say, have no children. Now, it was also in the Catholic, the only way to avoid having a child is don't have sex. So there's no way of having any form of contraception. Even to this day, they don't allow it. So it's called a rhythm method. In other words, don't do it.
Yeah, so, abstinence. Yeah.
So they was trying to devour her and stop her from having a baby. Well, this is what led into what I was trying to write today, which I've just given you to give you some insight into what it's all about and why I had to experience the effect of what the devil was doing.
Yeah.
Right. So I end up being born at a place on earth which is St. Margaret's Hospital, which the distance is 3877 miles to the South Pole. That's how many verses there are with the word God in it. And the word God found in them is 4443, which is a distance from two houses I built in Canada, 444.3 kilometres apart, where my two daughters were to be born on certain dates. First off, the older one, born in Port Alberni, the latitude is my name.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And what it was, my age, 8880, which takes you right to Jupiter, because it's how wide it is, and at 0, do it in miles. And she was conceived when Jupiter was overhead for 888 minutes. This is on July the 29th, I think it was, in 1967.
That's right.
So I'm 8880 days old when she's born. Right there, you might as well just fold up the tent and go home, because that's a checkmate.
Yes.
But I thought, we'll just carry on. So this is what I've done. Finally, I had to find and expose Mary Magdalene to being a monster she is. Now, why? Well, if you look at the genetics, go from Queen Elizabeth, they stretch back to Solomon, via the offspring of Mary Magdalene and Jesus. Hello. So they're not saying, well, Jesus didn't have offspring. The offspring goes down to them. That's what they're saying. This is what the Da Vinci Code's all about. All that kind of thing,
it is,
right?
yeah.
Which we started to watch last night, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and I fell asleep.
Fall asleep was so exciting. So that's what it's all about. Now, it says in Isaiah 11:6. Now, what's 11:6? Well, number one, 11.626 is a year's difference between my oldest daughter and my youngest stepdaughter via Mary Magdalene today, who is Michelle Sheila Nye. Okay, where her house was that she inherited. If you drop a line down from where I was born to the same latitude of the distance around the earth, which is 31680, Lord Jesus Christ in Greek, that goes, if you go west from that point, 537 kilometres, which is the distance from the great step of the Grand Gallery leading into the King's Chamber to the far wall of the King's Chamber, is 537 inches, plus a little bit. And that's the house, which she inherited from a mother who was a bastard of a woman, tormented Mary Magdalene or Michelle Nye ever since she was a baby, because she's so ugly. Right? She had a beautiful daughter, the first one, and then Michelle came along. Ugly as, right? So she tormented her because of that. However, having said that, she did inherit the house from her mother, who lived at 666 Main Road, Eltham. There's a bit of a clue right there. And that is 5813 from the South Pole, the height of the pyramid finished. So therefore, her youngest daughter, who she self-told me that she was not having sex with her husband, and conceived by someone, she said, I must have swam across the bath. In other words, he's been pulling himself in the bath and she sat on it, something like that. You know, that's what she thinks. That's how she was. She was a very sexual person. So I thought, yeah, what a moron. So as it turns out, that is a distance in time is 11.626 years between Tracy and this young girl born. Now we go to Isaiah 1:16, and the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them.
Yes.
The little child was born on January 11th, 1944. I met it. Now, I said yesterday how my second wife, Pauline, she was a black witch. I mean, she had no decency in her. I had to marry these people to know what they are and to bring forth circumstances and situations which would further push me along the enlightenment trail of despair. And what happened was, she was pissing me off I'd already been locked up and released again because I bullshitted my way out of the insane asylum, right, by seducing this 500-pound psychiatrist, Jewish woman, and just giving her a sweet talk every time I spoke to her till she actually fell in love with me, the poor thing. And she said, "No, Mr. Marshall, you're not the real world person. You are." I said, "Oh, really? Because you're such an educated woman. And what's that perfume you're wearing? Oh, your skin looks lovely today. That's a lovely dress you've got." And just going on like this, to finally, she was responsible for getting me out of this lunatic asylum, which they could have kept me in forever, right? As it turns out, of course, from that, one thing leads to another. So we've got the small trailer caravan we call in Australia, in a place called Coombs. And that Coombs, the latitude of it was my name, right? The distance to where I would meet Michelle back in Australia is another profound name, the same number as the Julian day I was born on, which is revealed by the King's Chamber. So we have the synchronicity ongoing, right? It's a script that I have to read like a Shakespearean play until I started to realise I've got no choice in this bloody matter. And I realised that as a child, which you're going to read in a moment.
Right.
Because this was a request from our German girls that I should give some sort of explanation when and how I realised I was the Lord.
Yeah, we did read this.
Okay, so we've got the 116, which comes out to be Isaiah 116.
Right.
Right? Which is the width of the antechamber of the Great Pyramid, which is the distance in time between Michelle, Mary Magdalene, and my age, 1162.6 days, and the age I was when I married in weeks, 1162.6 weeks when I married Lucifer's choice, the harlot from Lithgow. A more evil person you cannot imagine. I don't even want to talk about it in the sense of ever writing down the details because you wouldn't believe it's so horrid. But this is what they do to the Lord, right? Talk about crucifixion, 3 hours hanging on a cross, that's nothing. Right? How about 70 odd years of it? Right? So, being the Lord coming to the earth and being denied as being the Creator is possibly the greatest insult that a human being could lay upon the Creator. It's all right to say Jesus Christ, fuck you and all this kind of stuff. It's got nothing compared to what they are doing to me right the way up and right through my whole family, my offspring, my children, wives, every situation possible, always become a negative. And I could use it as a negative Geiger counter. Because I was instinctive of being able to place a temptation in front of these people and they'll go for it like a piranha after blood in the water. And I would know by just reversing what they do is where the action is. So, the God particle, what is it? Well, it's me. That is why Michelle had an angel come and pat her on the back for 2 hours and then denied it later. Months later she ended up denying it, but she was pretty shaken up at the time. And the same thing happened to Pauline, who was taken up when I got pissed off with her. I said the angel's taken away, and she was taken away over it. And some months later she told me what happened when I got stoned.
Yes.
Right? Which was she was taken to the pyramid, down the descending passage, up through the grand gallery, into the King's Chamber. And when she got to the King's Chamber, the ceiling was gone, and there was the face of God looking down on her, and she said, "It's your face."
Yes.
Right? Now the only reason she told me is because I had a little bit of weed shaking under her nose, and if you tell the truth, I'll give you a bit.
Yeah.
She wasn't stoned. She wanted the weed. And she just confessed, right? It's the only way she's going to get it. So I'd use it as a tempt, as a carrot. That's how I do things over the years, tempting and diffusing and deflecting and looking at the negative reaction.
So now, talking about that fear and terror that we you described yesterday, that Pauline was in as she was taken away by the angels and
she was
shown.
absolutely terrified.
She was absolutely terrified. Now, this, the revealing of the beam and everything, as everybody's spoken on, talking about demons, and it's like, well, no, it's the face of BLGM looking back at you. That would invoke fear and terror in these idiots because they have failed. They're trying to bullshit everybody into that they can blow up the through the antimatter.
Well, they've got this idiot Stephen Hawking, right? There is one first-class moron. Right? So, what's he saying? That if they go through, there's a possibility that they could destroy the earth because it's taken it back to creation. What a load of crap.
Yeah.
Right? At the very worst, they're going to leave it a hole in the ground where they're all dead. Right? Hopefully. Right? Except there's people on top. Nice people living in the town above it. However, what a complete and utter waste of money. They spent so much money there they could have fed every person on earth for 10 years. Right? But they wouldn't do that. So they're trying to find a God party, and they did. They've got this massive explosion down there, and when I say massive explosion, protons belting into each other, and it does form at the middle of it this pulse of light. And what's looking at them?
BLGM.
Hello. That's going straight back to Pauline. I guarantee you, if Pauline saw that, she'd shit herself.
Yes.
Which is just stupid, right?
I did another comparison because I said on the Facebook that today, even the photograph from 2 years ago, it looks more like today. So I haven't uploaded it yet. But so I took a photograph last night.
Thank you for that.
And anyway, it's all part of.
So we go to India, the most godless country on earth, and there it is. These people are so full of shit, it's unbelievable, and they've all got to suffer because they've only got 427,000 years to go before they become one with God. What? How dumb is that?
Yeah.
But it allows the doctors and the elite and the lawyers to ignore them and treat them like a piece of shit because that's your karma, son. That's happened from your life. You were such an evil bastard in your previous life, so they got the reincarnation right, they just haven't got the order right.
Right.
So, yes.
Right. Just reading what the guys are saying in the chat room. Ross said he lived opposite 666 Northbourne Avenue. That's where the ABC is in Canberra for a time. And then at 210 Southern Cross Drive, Latham, Canberra for 17 years. Ross is saying he sees many 7, 1, 1, 7, 3, 1, 2, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, seeing on so many car number plates now. And then Jonas was talking about his neighbour has a Magna parked out the front with a 666 number plates, always hoping he doesn't park out the front of me. Mark says we shouldn't let the J people go this far, it's disgraceful. Mark, it's all about the judgment. They're doomed. They know it. Everything is being played out. It's timing. Everything has to be played out prophetically. As sick as it all is, these people are doomed, and they know it. This is why the demonic world is. They are the ones that are in fear and terror. As much as they are trying to inflict into the mind of people that they should be in fear and terror, it is they who are. Remember, reverse everything, because the fact is that the restraining of all their evil from accomplishing what they have set out to do is the fact that BLGM is on the earth. Hello? So, I mean, really give it your best shot.
Give it your best shot, baby.
Give it your best shot. It always has been that. That's what Yah's been. Give it your best shot. You cannot win. The script has been written, and we are in the final stages, the final act of the curtain coming down on the play. And I mean, all the numbers belong to Yah. 111 is his birth date. 222 is his birth hour. 333 is who he is and who, crucified on 3rd of April 33 AD. The 444 is the certain man. Well, that's him. The 555 is the Christ number. The 666, well, we know what that's all about, but it's the number of man. It's also the number of the Antichrist, who's after the 555. 777 is the holy city. The 888, hello, Jesus, Greek, Gematria, and the 999 is all about the time we're in. It's the end of times, the appointed hour for the execution of the judgment that has already been handed down in the heavenly realm of no time. So I'm waiting for the Holy Spirit to get hands on, then it's over for them. It's all playing out. Listen, we released the holy angels January 25th, 2012.
Uh-huh.
And the judgment began on the execution began rather on the was the 22nd of February.
Rothschild died some days later.
Yeah, this is after. It was the 22nd of February 2012. This is what we're warning everybody. That was the day now remember, Yah has always said the judgment is like a freight train coming. You got to get off the track. Otherwise you're going to stand in the road. And he likened it for years as a freight train coming at you. Get off the track. And what happened on February 22nd, 2012, the 22222, that train slammed into the station in
Brazil, I think.
it was Argentina, wasn't
Argentina.
it? Was it Buenos Aires? I don't know. What's
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires? Anyway, that Argentinian train crash slammed into the station. Hundreds were injured. Many were killed.
51 killed.
51 were killed. Something like that. Well, I think it was actually 50. The official number was 50 killed. Well, what's 50? Well, it's Abba and Amma. 36 plus 14, Abba and Amma. So, and shortly after that, the dude who was 84 years old, Rothschild, died. That was kept secret. That happened on the 9th. It was on a particular day. I think it was the 13th of April or the 19th of April that year. It was a particular day that they wanted to keep secret and only released it later. We found out later, of course.
That's right.
And so many have been dying ever since as the angels remove the tares. And once they die in this lifetime, then their souls are sent into suffering for all the evil they have committed. And there will be a moment in time where they will be completely extinguished, totally, forever, never, ever, ever to return. This is what the end of times is all
Fear
about.
him. They can destroy both body and soul in hell, and you're in it.
That's right. Now, this reading of the document, I've got it open, I just got to get over to it. Alright, now, because this is what I did read last week, but I'll go back over the front part.
It doesn't take
the emphasis is on...
Because they keep on altering them.
Yes, you do. So I'm not going to refer to anything except the short quote up the front. He says, before I begin a comment, in 1990 a Dead Scrolls translation team was interviewed, recorded by Haratz, in which he said that Judaism was a horrible religion that should not exist. He also said that Judaism was a Christian heresy, and we deal with our heretics in different ways.
That was John Strugnall.
That was John Strugnall. Okay, so that meant his death later. Now, it occurred to me before the age of 2 years, I had found myself in a loveless, confusing existence. My memories of a pre-existence was within me, as if it were a dream I had woken from. I longed to become an adult, to overcome hopelessness. At 2 years of age, I spoke fluently, pondered questions while gazing at the stars. How high is up? I could understand complex scientific theory like the speed of light, told to me by my brother. An avalanche of wrong information, daily telling me what he had learned at school, but most often spoke of things he did not quite grasp, and I would correct him. I mention this here, for within me, from my first thoughts as a small boy, an inner knowing drove me, dread and fear, my constant companion. I did not realize until years later I was trapped by destiny. Fate required me to live my life and overcome the world. I had no idea a saviour was the focus of religions, or that I was the little boy that must fulfill prophecy. It simply did not occur to me. As I matured, I had managed to put together somewhat that my life was a daily scripted series of events, a knowing moments before they occurred. Over time, it all started to make sense. My childhood anguish, glimpses of the future, hopelessness, like pieces of a scattered, gigantic jigsaw puzzle revealed to me in visions, dreams, coincidences, somehow all preordained, as if some angelic force was controlling events. It reading some heavenly scroll, I was forced to live. The horrors to come I can only compare to a salmon spawned hundreds of miles inland, overcoming waterfalls, predators, exhaustion, to finally reach the pond and spawn in the same precise location from whence they came, where they are aware of the difficulties and dangers as they entered the river from the Pacific Ocean? Or was it simply a meandering individual smell beckoning them back to spawn, die in the same location from which they sprang? In so doing, perpetuate themselves in identical offspring they would become, and their souls live again. This is what reincarnation is. Did this explain how I knew things I could not logically have been aware of? As an adult, I knew how old I was when we moved from my pond, so to speak, 942 days of age, August the 10th, 1946, when the family moved to a house they had purchased at 3 Old Botany Road, Mascot. This meant I was less than 942 days when my brother babbled wrong information. This is an age under 2.56 years. On one occasion, he told me about the 7 wonders of the world. I said, ancient or new, adding of the 7, which was in both. His bewilderment look answered he did not know. The Great Pyramid. I was 2 years of age. Where did that come from? I concluded as a young lad these things were somehow a memory triggered by a word, sentence, thought, or question. Therefore, from where? In the blood? The soul? An angel? Where? I knew the Great Pyramid was a wonder, or how clouds formed in the atmosphere, that the earth was a ball, rotating, causing day and night from the effect of the sun. As said, these thoughts took place in the home on Rothschild Avenue. Later, the hell we are all in had a focal point, the Rothschild system, the centre of hell for me personally as a starting point. Of course, that was 105 Rothschild Avenue. I had concluded all adults were very slow mentally. My parents had no idea of my ability to think and speak fluently. My father, quotation marks, Reginald, a cruel, sadistic man, caused me so much suffering. I would ask my mother if I was adopted. I could not be related to him. My only physical contact with him was via a clenched fist on the left side of the back of my head. Had this constant jolting of my brain stirred some defense in the forming of the cerebral cortex? The point here, this had been occurring when we were living in the home on Rothschild Avenue. Therefore, as God creates, Lucifer inhabits. Reginald in my environment represented Lucifer in the flesh, into which I, as Christ, was plunged into the very heart of hell. 105 Rothschild Avenue. Studies have revealed that when the brain suffers trauma from a blow, resulted in a thickening of the cortex. Some individuals with this condition were more spiritual. They valued meditation or experienced a higher spiritual awareness as a result. However, individuals born with a thinner cortex were often found to suffer from depression. In my case, years being hit on the rear left side of my head must have consequences causing permanent damage to my cerebral cortex. Perhaps I owe Reginald thanks. His abuse appears to have added perception to an already naturally acquired spiritual awareness. Attending school, I was the central figure in first grade for physical abuse by a nun, Sister Margaret Mary. My crime was refusing to learn to read. I would look away from and block my ears as the cardboard letters were being held up to the class, children reciting the words. The reason was this: I could memorize a book and knew that if I fell into the trap of learning to read, I would suffer the loss of this ability. The question is, how did I know that would be the effect? She was so infuriated, she singled me out, daily would place a book open at the random page, which the other children were by then able to read. I had refused to listen to. Her weapon of choice, a 3/4-inch square stick, and my thumb on my left hand was continually bruised blue. I decided to take the book home, sneaking into her desk each afternoon. My sister read it to me at night time, then sneak it back the next morning before school. Then that fateful day, she placed the book before me. Stammering, she started me off with the first few words, her usual manner. To her amazement, I read the page perfectly. Delighted, she reported the procedure for a few days. Then the trap was ready to be sprung. Mother Superior Helen had been told of Sister Margaret Mary's success. She stood at the rear of the class to observe. Sister Mary hurriedly placed the book open at page 72, muttered the first few words, and I was off. The shadow of Mother Superior hovered behind me, reached over my right shoulder and said, "Sister Margaret, he is reading the book upside down." Needless to say, her fury manifested into a rage that lasted until the end of the school year. The following year, August the 31st, 1950, I was taken back bodily to experience a message told to me by Mary, the mother of Jesus, who spoke to me, calling me to her side, calling out, "Jesus, Jesus, come." As an adult considering these events, awakened in me the impossibility that a baby boy could do what I did on a daily basis. As said, the family and I remained there, this is 105 Rothschild Avenue, until I was 942 days old, and this is 2.759 years. In the Greek concordance, the number 2759 is kentron, from kentio, to prick, a point or centre that is a sting, figuratively divine impulse, prick or sting, found in 1 Corinthians 15:55 and 15:56, quoting, "O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?" The abuse from my father continued until I simply was too big for him and could ward off the attacks, ending by the time I was 12 years old. Basically, it is to do with synchronicity. I acted out of divine guidance, so death was not an option. Decades later, when confronted with a self-proclaimed Bible expert, my second wife, Pauline, from Margate, who in reality, slow-minded at best, challenged me to read the Bible, stating that I would believe. I replied, if I did, I would destroy it. That was 1990 in Canada. I saw this as the first 46 years of life. I was unhindered by Bible dogma, only interested in facts and why I was trapped in hell. I had concluded if I had no way out, all were doomed. Recalling my experiences, seeing ghosts, being taken back to another realm bodily, to be spoken to by Mary, she addressing me as Jesus, adding to my reluctance to accept what this was pointing to, had become more than a mystery. It was a challenge. I always felt alone, as if I was the only sane person in a gigantic, lunatic asylum, compelled to overcome the world's insanity. I had to have a way out. By then I concluded I was immortal. But what I was concerned about was the innocent. For me, a matter of principle, truth buried under dogma and lies. But why? It became obvious as I grew older that what I was capable of mentally, far advanced on those I observed. You will see below how I dealt with it. I understood in moments of self-criticism. This level of intellect is a divine thing. Led to the conclusion this is how God, as a baby, would think. At this point, understanding my later years is relevant. To best comprehend as the events to follow my childhood had revived a past life memory. I was familiar with Jesus. I was surrounded by cruelty, all rousing me to my intended position in hell, toughening me to finally overcome. Let's concentrate on the English-speaking world. This is where the biblical beast dominates. England was conquered by the Jews in 1066 when William the Conqueror invades. Christmas Day, the 25th of December. Later, another Jewish move, Freemasonry, the Bible, the big stick, so to speak, dangling the carrot of the turn the other cheek, Jesus Christ. The KJV, which sprang from the Catholic Bible, was what the satanic forces used to dominate Europe. This led to the Martin Luther, then Tinsdale, and finally Freemasonry and its King James 1611, and from the divided kingdom squabbling amongst 36,000 denominations. The daughters of the great whore was spawned from. Obviously, it was intentional to divide the masses into manageable folds of sheep. I was 46 years old before I started dissecting the Bible. As God, I did not have to delve too deeply. I know what should be written. 90% is simply man's demon-driven make-believe. As said, the King James Bible is a work of Freemasonry. It engulfs the free world and therefore must be a method of presenting a false image of what the Saviour is. A manipulated demonic spirit to assure the gullible it is the divine word of God. It is not, but is a witness to a make-believe version of truth. Therefore, there had to be a hidden way of exposing the underbelly of the cunning serpent behind it. Having said this, we must go back to early days when I realized I had woken up in hell. My nature has not changed. No torment erased my longing for love. But I had no comforter. I was by nature inclined to give freely anything I could to ease the suffering of others. Yet in a sad way, a learning curve came at the hands of those closest to me. I realized they did not have compassion. They were just the opposite. Loneliness burdened me, unable to find anyone with a like mind. And then into part 1. Beaten and verbally abused by my family, in a way had a beneficial effect, for by the age of 6.64 years, August the 31st, 1950, on that date, I was in the schoolyard of St. Bernard's Catholic Convent. 2 older boys, perhaps 9 years of age, standing to my right, ready to fight. I charged at them, screaming, "Jesus was an Essene!" turning towards me, stepping back. My momentum carried me beyond them. The next moment I am sitting on the third step of a building, looking down, examining the steps. Rough sandstone, not like the craftsmanship of Egypt. To my right, the wall jutted out 300 millimetres. To my left, behind me, a large arched door with black iron hinges. The timber was dark, brown, rough cut. A voice called, "Jesus, Jesus, come." I was tired. We had been walking from Egypt. Mary was 30 metres or so away. A slight declining grey, dusty road. In the distant stone buildings of a small community. I ran to her side, stopped on her left, looking up. She was a tall, slim woman, beautiful face, English appearance, slightly tanned, blue eyes, wearing a black garment, the hood over her hair, a blue veil tucked into the hood. She glanced down at me and said, "Now, Jesus, I have something to tell you. We are ESSENE, and if the Jews find out, they will kill us." I had turned towards her to listen. Seeing Joseph, I turned towards him. He was walking a few metres from the steps. He must have been coming out the door as I ran to Mary. With him on either side, two much smaller men, dark-skinned, black hair, beards, wearing long black robes. I thought them quite odd, unlike us. By contrast, Joseph was a huge man towering over them. His arms were comfortably resting on the shoulders of each on either side. He was at least 500 millimetres taller, head uncovered, bushy, full grey beard, hair pulled back, wearing a grey garment to his feet. On the left side of the garment were two lines, red and black, between them 100 millimetres wide, a darker grey strip. Thinking back, I am now 71 years of age, I always remembered it as a part of the weave, yet was straight. It occurred to me as I write that it could have been a separate cloth. Part 2, I do not recall how the next part of the experience occurred. It was dark. We were in a small stone room, a window 90 centimetres by 50 centimetres, with sticks, 2 upright and 3 horizontal, above my height. 2 brown rags moved in the breeze of the moonlight lit room. Mary and Joseph were behind me to my right, both in the shadow near the door, its hinges on my left. Both were in black. Mary said, "We are going to see the high priest, don't follow us." With that, they opened, then closed the door behind them. I opened the door to peek out. They were in the shadows of the buildings, huddled over somewhat. I thought it was odd to act as if they did not want to be seen. Creeping along was stupid and would draw attention. Then it was over. Part 3, I am back in the playground of the school, trying to grasp what has occurred. As a point of observation, looking back all those years ago. The nuns never spoke about what Jesus was. How could I, as a small boy, know what a Pharisee or a Sadducee was? Certainly never the term ESSENE was spoken to me. Even to this day, most religious people have no idea Jesus was an ESSENE. It is only in modern times, since the Dead Sea Scrolls were finally, some suggest, was leaked by John Strugnell in 1954, working in the scrollery. So pondering what had occurred, I was walking home from school, stopped near the overhead rail bridge which ran past the school to the north. I looked up to heaven and said, "Well, God, I know you can't be here for some reason, but you must have left yourself in..."
Proof of yourself.
Right, I'm going to start again. "Well, God, I know you can't be here for some reason, but you must have left proof of yourself in creation. So if you like, you can tell me, and I will tell the world." I continued walking home. Looking back, recalling the events over 60 odd years, it is still as clear in my mind as if it were yesterday. Okay. Way over time, and I did read all of this last week.
Thank you.
Alright. Part 5. This was not my first odd spiritual experience. I had concluded speaking to my family only resulted in ridicule. Only as an adult I mentioned it to my brother. He was a very intelligent man, but obsessed with anything immoral. I felt I had to educate him, as his soul was destined for, at best, destruction. What you will read next is a sample of our discussions that fell on deaf ears. I remarked to the family after his exploits were uncovered by his wife, after visiting him unexpectedly in Malaysia, arriving with the children at his rented home. He was on contract as a general manager for a large construction firm. His wife discovered his spare time was spent in Malaysian brothels. My comment was once exposed. He, as a young man, had set himself very low moral standards and had great difficulty living up to them. My mother was witness to the incident in November the 14th, 1948. That is, according to my mother, years later when I tested her memory of it. She, a kind of idiot savant on trivia, she said it was Prince Charles' birthday. So the date could be a little after, as Sydney, Australia is 10 hours ahead of London, so it may have been a few days later. What is a fact is my age and that of Prince Charles. At the time I was 4.849 years of age on his birth date. This number is the height of the Great Pyramid mathematically, with a rejected capstone in place. This height is determined by taking the base, 36,524.24 pyramid inches, which is 100 years as days, divide by 2, then by pi equals 5,813.013 pyramid inches, multiplied by 1.00106 to convert to British inches, then by 12 to arrive at its height in feet, or precisely 484.93126.106 feet. However, these facts became apparent when I realized the synchronicity that regardless of what anyone thinks, it's what I concluded after reviewing these events decades later. A summer's day, playing in the backyard, when I heard a familiar voice from above. It said to go to the side gate. I did, a green lattice gate 2 meters high or more. The voice said, climb the gate and go over into next door. I replied, my mother had told me never to go into the neighbours and would not let me. She was an argumentative woman, argued with the neighbours all the time, but the voice insisted I would be all right. The other side of the fence was higher than our side due to the concrete drive. For a small child, twice my height. Reluctantly, I held onto the top of the palings and then lowering myself, my toes between the rough hardwood palings, then my fingers grabbing the space between the palings, but unable to hold tight, began to slip. Splinters pierced deep into my fingers and toes. I was stuck. I felt scared. Then, if that was not enough, frightened by a hand under my bottom lifting me off the fence, lowered me to the grass. I feared it was the next door neighbour had caught me, but looking around there was no one there. The voice then said, go to the back door, and reluctantly I did. Feeling very wary, the voice said, go inside, it is okay. I opened the screen door to the veranda, slowly went in to the right, a step up into the kitchen. The voice encouraged me to go on. To the left, a kitchen table, dishes at my eye level, a green checkered tablecloth. Walking slowly I felt imminent discovery. The lady of the house in front of me I felt imminent discovery by the lady of the house. In front of me was a dark closet. To the right, the bathroom door. The voice said, "Open the door." It was slightly ajar. I said no, the lady might be in the nutty, a child's term for nude. The voice assured me it was okay. Reluctantly, heart racing, pushing the door slightly wider, the lady lying on the floor. The voice gently encouraged me. She was asleep. Facing the ceiling, her dress covered her legs to just below the knees. Her skin odd, a motley pink. The voice said, behind the door in the corner, "A small boy asleep. Wake him. Lead him outside. Step over his mother's legs. Do not touch her." Somebody has measured me.
You can leave it there if you like.
Yeah, I will, because I've got to see that things are... Oh, all right. I don't know if things are being cut off in midstream and people are saying to me, they've done this before, tell Ash I can't hear or whatever. Okay. All right, guys, so that's, again... Oh, yeah, John lost the show. He had to reboot. All right. Yeah, that's what they're all complaining about. Impossibly slow internet. We'll have to listen again later. Ciao, guys. And empty. That's when I got that feeling. Gotta go. All right, guys. Thanks. We're over time, but we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for coming in. And I'll go through your comments after we get off the show. Later, Gators. Bye.